Welcome back. You're watching Global Eye. Germany's Eurozone's biggest economy goes to the polls this Sunday in what has been touted to be the most significant election in the country's recent history. Snap elections were called after the coalition government headed by Olaf Scholz collapsed in December, while opinion polls predict the Christian Democratic Union, led by Friedrich Merz, to emerge as the single largest party. Alternative for Germany, a far-right party, is expected to finish second. And while the AfD might not find a place in the government as other parties are expected to refuse to do business with them, it might just end up reshaping the country's political landscape. Let's take a look at the key themes in this election in Germany.
What are the issues fueling this snap election? Germany has long been Europe's biggest economy, but for the past 2 years, it's been in decline. Rising energy prices played a big role in that, and they remain a formidable challenge for both households and businesses. Friedrich Merz, the CDU opposition leader, had strong words for Olaf Scholz, arguing he led Germany into economic crisis while chancellor.
I'm somewhat amazed, Mr. Chancellor, at your perception. We are now in the third year of a recession. This has never happened before in Germany. Stopping this will be a huge effort, so I have to tell you, I'm somewhat shocked by the perception you have here this evening of the state of our economy.
A slew of violent attacks linked to foreign suspects have raised concerns about both security and migration, prompting political parties to demand stricter measures on migration. Germany's net population rose by over 3.5 million between 2014 and 2024, driven entirely by migration. Since 2022, Germany has taken in over 2 million refugees. The AfD party, Alice Weidel in particular, has called for borders to be closed and asylum seekers to no longer have the right to family reunification.
What I stand for is to stop this illegal migration, and that we must separate ourselves from the people who are in our country illegally and who have committed criminal offenses.
The conservative Christian Democrats have also adopted a stricter stance on immigration, including pushing back asylum seekers at the borders. Some voters believe that the parties themselves have made this a red-button issue. Both a stagnating economy and tensions over migration have fueled the rise of the far-right AfD party. Its biggest political win on a federal level came earlier this year, when it helped the passing of a vote sponsored by the leader of the German conservatives. Most of Germany's major parties refuse to work with the AfD, and many protests against the AfD party have broken out across Germany, with voters like Antje Marta worried about a possible shift to the right. Germany's mainstream parties all favor helping Ukraine fend off Russia's invasion with weapons and supplies. However, Scholz and his Social Democrats have recently struck a more cautious tone, emphasizing the need for diplomacy. The AfD is among those who want an end to weapons deliveries to Kyiv and a resumption of good relations with Moscow.
And joining us now to take this discussion forward is former diplomat Subrata Bhattacharjee. Ambassador Bhattacharjee has served in Germany in different capacities. Thank you very much for joining us on the program, sir. Let me begin by asking you, do you get a sense that it is the Christian Democratic Union led by Friedrich Merz who is in the driver's seat, and they will be winning this election?
If you see over the time, the opinion polls have generally been predicting it fairly correct. Even the last election, when the SPD has a lead, it was correctly predicted by the opinion polls. So going by that, just 2 days left before the election, I would guess that the CDU will take the lead. They're showing 30%. That, of course, might not be enough to form the government, but they have a lot of choices. Right. They had grand call. Yeah, please come.
I would also like to ask you, sir, how do you think the outcome of this election will impact issues such as Ukraine, Germany's support for Ukraine, and also immigration into Europe?
Immigration into Europe might go for a change, because you see, even the CDU had a stand at the time of former Chancellor Angela Merkel. They had to update, they had to change the views. And the current CDU also understands the public mood against the new immigrant, the wave of immigrants coming. So I guess if the CDU forms a government, it has, and perhaps it will form, it has to take into account and take a pragmatic approach on the immigration issue. As for the Ukraine, I think the bigger global player in the Ukraine will now be USA and Russia, how they decide the matter. Europe will play a role, but the role that USA has been playing will have a more predominant deciding factor. So Ukraine thing will
Right.
shape us more on its own. But the immigration issue in Europe is something Germany, new German government will contribute significantly and might initiate changes.
All right. What I'd also like to ask you, do you think Angela Merkel's open-door asylum policy was unwarranted and led to the rise of the far right as well in Germany?
There has been general feeling that such an open-door policy, getting a lot of immigrants into Germany, not only Germany, even some of the other EU member countries resisted it, caused certain amount of economic hardship, the difficulty in assimilation, all those cause a friction, and certainly it helped. I would guess that it did help AFD to gain popularity. Perhaps that is the why the new CDU leadership has sensed the public mood and made a changes in its policy on the immigrants.
Right. What I'd also like to ask you, sir, we've spoken about the immigration rate policy, then the issue of economy. We saw the CDU, Friedrich Merz, their leader, speaking about how Germany has been in recession and they need to be taken out of this recession and it's going to be a difficult task. So what's going to be the approach of the next leader? Do you think they will be more business-oriented, more inward-looking? The focus would be in order to how to bring back more jobs, how to bring back the economy back on track in Germany?
This has to be the policy of the new government for sure. But achieving it will be a very, very challenging task. Currently, the predictions are there that the global economy is going to go for a recession. The developments in USA, developments worldwide, it will be a very challenging time for any government that comes in Germany to kickstart economic growth, to create more employment. This will certainly be a priority, but a challenging task.
Right. Ambassador Bhattacharjee, when it comes to Germany's relationship with the EU, how do you think this could change in the coming years after this election? What is the sentiment as far as Germany's own relationship with the EU goes?
I think this is going for a subtle changes in the EU Parliament. The far right is gaining strength. Different EU countries see the Germany's neighbor, Austria, they have a far right government. Also in other countries like Netherlands, you see what's happening in France, also in Italy, and also in other countries where it's not the far right, but the general anti-immigrant feeling in the East Europe bloc, East Europe countries like Poland and others, Hungary. So the composition in the European Parliament, the far right is gaining more strength, is going to be reality. So that's going to play a crucial role in the coming years, the EU policy on immigration and other issues. Certainly, for sure.
All right. So the far right will have a clear impact on Germany's policies on immigration and also relationship with the European Union. As far as Germany's own relationship with India goes, this has been a strong relationship. Any friction points that you see which would need ironing out in the years to come? Ambassador Bhattacharjee?
Let me speak objectively. Let's start from the point where India started the economic reform, say early 90s. I was then in Germany, then as a young diplomat. We had a CDU government, Helmut Kohl. India continued with its close relations. Then came Scholz, SPD. It didn't change. The difference over the years, we have been the government run by CDU, by SPD, Grand Coalition, with FDP joining, not joining, even the Greens being the part of the current government. We had a visit of Chancellor from Germany. So India-Germany relations are multifaceted. We have a large Indian community. We have a lot of German investment, very high bilateral trade, over $25–30 billion, over $15 billion German investment. German Mittelstand, the middle-aged companies have a strong tie-up. We have a number of joint working groups on different economic aspects. The old cultural relations from the time of Max Muller, many Indology being taught in different German universities. So these strong relations continued unabated despite the changes in governments in India and the changes in government in Germany. Coming to AFD, what is their policy? As I see, their policy has been anti-immigrant, certain amount of anti-immigrant sentiment, but they never articulated anything against Indian community. In fact, they welcome the qualified, the skilled, the IT professionals, and their economic policy does not in any way conflict with the stronger economic ties with India. So I do not see any adverse impact on India-German relations, depending on the outcome of this. Yes.
All right.
That's
All right. Good to talk to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us here on CNBC-TV18, giving us your view on the very important German election and how this political event could also change the way Germany functions and approaches geopolitics. Thanks once again for being with us. That's all we have time for here on Global Eye. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.